welcome to Motorcycle News and welcome to a glorious Snetterton. It's late August and I'm here for a track day on my MCN Fleet KTM 1290 Super Duke R Evo. So, we're halfway through the day now. We've just finished our final session before lunch. Done about 4 this morning. As you can hear behind me, some of the lower groups are just out there doing their last sessions before lunch as well. Been really lucky with the weather. Really hot. Loads of grip on the track and loads of heat on the tarmac itself. But you didn't come here for a weather report. You wanted to know how this bad boy gets on track. So what I'll do first is just pull this out. So this is a little fly screen that I've installed from KTM's Power Parts catalogue. It's not that expensive, it's less than £100. We can put the price in the video and it's made a real world of difference. I mean, the KTM commuting every day was buffeting central, you know, could really feel it on my neck on my 50-mile ride to work. So I was kind of dreading the 150-mile-an-hour straights at Snetterton. So bolted that on, it just mounts with the existing mounting points on the bike and kind of covers up this ugly bit behind the clocks and down to the headlight, and it's made a real difference. However, it's not made as much difference as if this thing had a front fairing, because when you get up to 6th gear, which you can do on Snetterton's 300 layout, you really do start to feel it in your neck. I know you're not supposed to look at your speedo on a track day, but I noticed I was well into the 150 mark when I'm coming up to the braking marker, and by the end of the 4th session I'm really starting to feel it in the back of my neck. Smaller circuits like your Mallory Parks, Cadwell, stuff like that might not be so much of an issue, but at fast places like Snetterton, I think you're going to feel it. So another thing that I've been really impressed with is my tyres. Now I've ditched the standard Bridgestone S22s for a set of Pirelli Diablo Rosso 4 Corsas. Now if you saw our video in Sicily with the middleweight sports bikes, that was the tyre that we used in that video and I absolutely loved it. So much so that when we got back to the UK I ordered a set for the KTM and they've been absolutely mint round here. Loads and loads of front end grip, loads of stability at the back despite having all that power to manage, and you know, wearing quite nicely. I've done around about 2,000 miles on these now and they're not really squaring yet or anything like that, so really impressed with their all-round use. Away from that, the electronic suspension has also been really interesting so far. I've had a play with a couple of modes. I went out this morning in just sort of standard sporty mode and found that the rear end was just squatting a little bit and the bars were shaking a little bit, so added a bit more preload. That didn't really do anything, so I've started messing around with the advanced settings now, just sort of using some of those. So I will feedback further at the end of the day. Also impressive so far has been the shifter and auto blipper. Been really crisp up and down the box. And obviously that engine is absolutely stonking. I mean, this might be an upright naked, but it's stripping lengths out of 600s and all sorts here. So stick around and I'll bring you more updates throughout the day. So that's it. After about 6-7 sessions I think today, my time with MSV track days at Snetterton with the KTM behind me has come to a close. Now you might be able to hear bikes whizzing round behind me still. That's because we were in advanced group, we went out first, so there's still the intermediate and the novice group left to go for the end of the day, which is quite handy. It means I get to get away a little bit earlier, which is nice because we've got a long old drive home. So what was the afternoon like? Well, it was really good fun actually. The Snetterton 300 straights really allowed me to make the most of the KTM's 177 brake horsepower V-twin engine, and it's so nice to be able to finally let it off its lead after about 4,500 miles of commuting and sort of spirited riding. It's nice to be able to really wind that throttle to the stop without fear of going to prison. And yeah, it was stripping lengths out of 600s, some 750s, and it was keeping up with some thousands down the straight. However, being a big naked bike that's a bit heavier than a super sport bike, probably as heavy as a 1000cc bike, maybe even a little bit more, it did feel quite big and perhaps a little bit more cumbersome than every other bike in my track day group. In fact, I was the only bike today in the advanced group with a number plate and mirrors on, and I did feel ever so slightly like a sitting duck, especially in the afternoon when everyone kind of woke up and the temperatures rose on the track and confidence grew in the riders. You know, it was still great fun, but you know, on a road bike I did kind of feel like almost a bit like a rolling roadblock sometimes. So I think maybe going forwards, if I bring the KTM back to a track, I'll come to one of MSV's excellent road bike only track days. And if you've not ever done a track day before, or if you have a road bike to take on a track day, I really would recommend one of their road bike only days. They're absolutely brilliant. So outside of the engine, which also, by the way, used 2 full tanks of fuel, I actually missed the final session of the day, and the dash is saying that I've got about 40 miles left in the tank. However, you know, if you're really caning it, I think 40 is probably more like 20. So really not much fuel left. As I said in the lunchtime break, the Pirelli tyres have been absolutely brilliant all day. So much feel from that front end, and you know, for a tyre that is designed to do some serious road miles in a bit of wet weather and sort of dry weather as well, really impressed with a full day here in you know, proper heat. It's about 26 degrees today, and you know, these tyres are really impressed. I would recommend them to anyone that's got a kind of sporty bike that wants to do the odd track day and does sort of spirited weekend riding. I honestly think they're one of the best, if not the best in the category. There you go, I said it. Outside of that, loads of room to move around, which was nice, but it's also, again, did feel quite physically big, and I felt like, because I'm only 5'6", I had to kind of climb around on the bike a bit like a monkey in a tree when I was going from right to left in places, whereas other bikes were perhaps a bit more fluid in direction change. Outside of that, though, it was, you know, it really did hold its own. You know, this might be a naked bike, but it's got proper sort of sports bike credentials. You know, it turns and it holds a line really well. It accelerates like a proper sports bike, and the only thing that's really missing is a front fairing. And you know, if KTM decided to put a front fairing on the front, a bit like Triumph have done with the Speed Triple 1200, I think it could be something really special. But they don't, and this is the sportiest bike in their range. So this is, you know, yes, it might be a naked, but it's really impressed me. So another thing that I've been doing today, which is really cool, has been testing some helmets. So what I've been doing for a lot of the day is wearing a white lid, which is Shoei's new XSR Pro. Now that's Shoei's new ECE 2206 FIM homologated sport and track day helmet that the likes of Marc Marquez have been using in MotoGP. And cool little factoid, us at MCN are the first people to have a production ready one for the road in the whole of Europe. So the helmet we bought today really can't be replaced at the moment. The sort of the production unit starts to arrive in September. But actually this helmet replaces the Shoei X-Spirit 3, which is ECE 2205, and will stop being sold relatively soon. Replaced obviously by the new one, but I actually had one of those as well, so I brought both along for a little bit of a back-to-back. And what I would say is the old helmet sort of feels a lot smaller, feels a lot more snug on my head, and dare I say it, ever so slightly more sort of just compact and almost secure feeling, even though both of them fit me really well. But where the new helmet really does impress is in the vision. You can see so much, especially above when you're tucked in. Honestly, I had such clear vision, really hunkered in behind that tiny little fly screen that I mentioned earlier. And yeah, really super impressive, and so stable as well. I think Shoei spent a ridiculous amount of hours in the wind tunnel kind of crafting this new helmet, and it's supposed to be homologated to, I believe, 217 miles per hour, obviously to help MotoGP riders in places like Mugello, and even though we didn't have a screen or anything like that, it did remain nice and stable on my head. So top marks for Shoei, but that's not to say that the old one is bad, and I'm sure there'll be some bargains going on the old spec helmet very soon, so keep an eye out online and in your local retailers to see if you can pick up a bargain. outside of that, the day itself has been really well run. I've never actually been to Snetterton before, outside of watching BSB. The track is lovely, it's dead flat. I live in Lincolnshire, I live about 10 miles from Cadwell Park, so this place is chalk and cheese with there. But I really like fast open tracks, so this really ticks a lot of boxes for me. Outside of that, Atmosphere have run a really good day. There has been a few spills, but the marshals have dealt with it really quickly. Everyone's got smiles on their faces, and everyone's kind of respecting each other out on track. So all that's left from me now is to pack up. Obviously I got the bike away already. I'll get everything else away and start my 2-hour journey home. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you are interested more in the Super Duke Evo, be sure to check out more of the channel, because I went to the TT earlier this year on it, and you can find a video. And you can look out for more updates in Motorcycle News, the weekly paper, and also on motorcyclenews.com. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you soon.